Here again, here's another movie review. I figured instead of doing the next Pumpkinhead film, I'd go ahead and do Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I recently just watched. Now, the first Ant-Man was a film I found to be good. I'd give it 3 out of 4. I thought it was a good flick. I didn't think it was a great movie, nor anywhere near like the best Marvel film, but it was a good family film. Here, you know what you're getting when it comes to an Ant-Man Part 2. I mean, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know what you're getting. Ant-Man is going to team up with the Wasp, his woman. And you know what you're getting. It's a family film again. I've had some of the problems with the film is some of the same problems I've had with other Marvel films. Like when the movie starts out, it's got Paul Rudd and the girl playing his daughter, who's really cute, like looking for some, like trying to steal like a trophy or whatever they've got in this little tent thing they've got rigged up. It was kind of cute, but at the same time, once it starts off, it's the same kind of problem I've had with a lot of the recent Marvel films, except for kind of like Black Panther, where it's just like they hit you with like joke, like joke after joke after joke, and some of them are hit and other ones are hit or miss. It's just like there's just too many jokes. I just can't handle it. But once you get settled into the film, Michael Douglas does a good job. Everybody in the film does a good job. Walton Goggins plays one of the villains here. This film has too many subplots, too much going on actually. And so most of it could have been condensed. Lawrence Fishburne's here is like an ex-partner of Michael Douglas. He was good, but you get it hinted at in the film that he's got like some kind of ulterior motive for like what he's doing in the movie, but they never really go into it. Basically, you learn that what he's doing in the film is he's teamed up with this girl named Ava, who's like called the Ghost, and she's able to phase through stuff. She's pretty much the main villain. She wants to process information out of Hank Pym's wife's head so she can stop her phasing ability from happening because it's killing her basically. His wife is played by Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie, which I thought was neat. She's still trapped in the quantum realm from the first movie. If you've seen the first movie, this is like the logical next step after that original film, and it carries over well. The acting is good. I like the jokes, like with the big ant. They've got like wearing Paul Rudd's like Paul Rudd has to wear a one of those tracking device things on your leg or whatever to make sure he stays at home, because it explains in the film why he wasn't in Infinity War, the first one, since it's pretty much going to be a two-parter. It's because he was on house arrest. Yeah, that's it, house arrest, for helping out fugitive Captain America in Civil War, and that's why Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas and Hope Lang, I mean not Hope Lang, but Hope Pym in this or whatever, aren't all buddy with each other, because he took the suit without telling them to go help Captain America or whatever. And that was kind of neat. I like that they carried that over, but at the same time I'm like, Michael Douglas, come on guys, cut him a little slack. The dude was like trying to do the right thing. But anyway, and so some of the action in the film is good for the most part. At the end, it does get better. They did the phasing ghost girl or whatever. Her abilities were pretty cool, but she didn't really use them to the full potential until the end of the movie. One other thing, this movie's like way too long. It just felt too long. Throughout the film, Ant-Man doesn't do as much, and he kind of gets upstaged. Or at least it didn't feel like he did as much compared to the first film, but they do rectify it towards the middle half of the film. He does a lot more. But what I'm saying is, he kind of feels like he gets upstaged by the Wasp, because, you know, the character of the Wasp in these films is smarter than Ant-Man. She's a better fighter than Ant-Man. She knows more about the suits than Ant-Man. Why isn't Ant-Man the Wasp and not Wasp and Ant-Man? I mean, what? They didn't really bother me in the first film, but here it's much more noticeable. But anyway, they pretty much want to rescue the mom, and they bring up this thing that Michelle Pfeiffer has like a mind link with Paul Rudd because he was in the quantum realm in the first movie. They try to explain it through a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo jargon like Star Trek type stuff, and it's hard to follow, but you just accept it because the movie gets you to. But it works in the context of the movie. But yeah, Walton Goggins is here as one of the side villains. He's like this he deals in illegal science equipment and shit and all, just under the table stuff and everything. And he wants to steal Hank Pym's technology pretty much. And he's like a side villain. And Walton Goggins probably should have been the main villain because he's the best actor, one of the best actors here, and he's a great actor. great character actor, and he's just like really underused for most of the movie. And when he does reappear, he's just more like a nuisance until like the climax when he's there with like a big group of villains that all work for him, and he's trying to like steal the technology and everything. It's basically technology's inside this building that Michael Douglas shrunk, and he like packs around with him. And I like the gag of like Michael Douglas has all these like little Hot Wheels, and each one's like a different car, and they make it big and ride around in it. That was cool. At the end of the film, Paul Rudd goes back to his place because he's on house arrest, and he has to decide to go rescue Hope and Pam, which was cool. Neat little arc there for him. Of course, he has to save him because it's the right thing. And you get some cool action with him like turning big, like chasing after Walton Goggins' character, and he's like in the ocean or whatever. You've seen it in the trailers, and he's trying to get the little miniature building back from him because it's got all their stuff in it they need to use to save the mom. Another thing is in the first Ant-Man film, the story was really small scale. It's like not a big end of the world thing, and it worked there. But here with the sequel, I felt like they should have tried to raise it up, you know, a little bit more. But it's still extremely small scale. Like the Ghost character just wants to cure her, you know, phasing ability where she can walk through walls and stuff, where their molecules and everything and cells and all that are just out of control. And you find out that it was like from an experiment that happened to her that her dad did because he tried to fix his research because he was fired by Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas says that it's because the dude was like stealing, you know, ideas from him and like trading them and selling them or whatever. But Lawrence Fishburne, he claims that Lawrence Fishburne knows this but hasn't told the girl, and it makes it seem like Lawrence Fishburne is like up to more ulterior motives in the film, but it never comes of anything. He's not. He's just like trying to help the girl. So it's like, what? Why is he lying? Would it change her in any way of not wanting to do what she's wanting to do? No, not really. But anyway, that didn't make much sense. There's like so many villains and stuff going on. A lot of this could have been condensed. I don't know why they just didn't make the ghost girl or whatever, Ava, Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, and just had him survive his experiment that he was trying to do. That would have just combined those together, and you wouldn't have had to worry about, you know, trying to explain so much with so many different subplots. The villain in the first film did suck. Here, the villains aren't great, but they're good. They're good. They're serviceable. Walton Goggins is still good in the film. He just could have been great. He's serviceable. Same thing with the ghost chick. She's serviceable. She's slightly stronger than Walton Goggins because she gets more backstory and more story in the film. She is better than the Wasp or whatever dude from the last film. It was just all over the place and just had not much of a story at all. That was very well thought out. Here, it's much better thought out. But yeah, you get to the end of the film. They rescue Michelle Pfeiffer. Everything pretty much ends on a happy ending. But Michelle Pfeiffer has like these psychic abilities, or super abilities, I mean, not psychic, that she can just like heal the phasing girl's problem because she was in the quantum realm and is like adapted to it and evolved because she was there. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Well, mostly out of nowhere. I mean, I just find it really convenient that she just happened to evolve into having an ability that can help this girl. It just seems so convenient, just a way just to wrap it up, just to get it over with. But anyway, the after credit scene is actually kind of neat. You see Paul Rudd is like working with Michael Douglas and them on an experiment, you know, to help Ava or whatever continue helping her phasing abilities so it doesn't bother her so much. And all at once, you know, Michael Douglas and Hope start like vanishing, you know, like linking it to Infinity War, you know, to explain that they're not going to be in Infinity War, pretty much. Infinity War Part 2, to explain where they're at. They phased out of existence, and, you know, Paul Rudd's AntMan is still there, and he's going to be a hero in the second Infinity War. He's going to be there to whoop ass and help out against Thanos. But yeah, all in all, this is a 3.5-star film. It's a family flick, just like the other one. Michael Pena is in here again with his comedy. He was hit or miss for the most part, but later on in the film, I warmed up to him about halfway through, and he did a good job. I don't think anybody in this film is great, but everybody here did a good job. This is a perfectly pretty good family Marvel flick. Nothing wrong with the film. If you enjoyed the first Ant-Man, I think this is slightly better because the villains and the side characters were more fleshed out here. Even though they weren't great, they were done better. And this movie had, I would honestly say, a little bit too much story, but it was much more interesting. It was more interesting as a story than what we got in the first film, and tried to at least be somewhat deeper. But at the same time, it didn't evolve enough from the first movie for me personally. But yeah, all in all, this is a pretty good film. I recommend it. It's not one of the best Marvel films. It's better than like other shit like Thor: The Dark World. I like this better than Captain America, the first one. I like this better than Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange. It's a pretty good family film. It gets by on the charm of the actors. Nobody's great here, but they're all good. I would say see it, but don't pay full price. I don't think it's worth full price, but it is a pretty good movie, a pretty good family flick. Definitely something good to take the family to see. So I'll see you guys again with the next review.